We have all seen what happened in the final against France. But no, that wasn't the first time that Steph put his team on his back.
Booker goes down the baseline, kicks it out to Curry. Again, makes space for himself.
Steph Curry has been able to win close games throughout his career. Like any generational superstar, he's been able to kick it into high gear at the most important moments. That's why, celebrating his performance, which brought another Olympic gold to the United States, I said, why not? Why not talk about those times when Steph became a superhero? About those times when his game became a masterpiece. So, let's jump right in. I have no doubt there is one game in Curry's career that defined the rest of his days. And I'm not talking about the time when he exploded as a star at Madison Square Garden in 2013, in that iconic performance in which Steph really became the player he is today. I'm talking about a night that happened 3 years later in 2016. It was February. It was the day of a game between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Golden State Warriors, two relatively young teams looking to rise to the top of the Western Conference. So it was one of the most attractive games in the entire regular season. However, the Thunder, playing at home, dominated the game for almost 48 minutes. They even got a comfortable 11-point lead with 5 minutes left in the game. But when everything seemed to be over, Steph showed up. In the fourth quarter, he scored 8 points, with 3 of 4 from the field and 2 of 2 from 3. And in overtime, Steph proceeded to light up the Thunder from deep, 12 points in just 5 minutes of play. But there was one three-pointer that was more important than the rest. With this incredible game winner, Curry made the front pages of sports media around the world. His video went viral in every corner of the planet. A shot simply iconic.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang!
But to find another similar situation, we must travel to 2022. In the biggest stage anyone could imagine, it was the NBA Finals. The Warriors had already done the impossible. I mean, Klay Thompson was no longer the same, nor was Draymond Green. So to have made the finals after being crowned kings of the Western Conference was already a huge accomplishment. However, the Warriors had to defeat the Boston Celtics to sit on the NBA throne for the fourth time. But honestly, the situation the Warriors were in was not comfortable. They were losing the series by 2-1, and they had to play the fourth game at the Garden. And if they lost it, everyone knew that a 3-1 lead had only ever been reversed once. So they needed to win at all costs. Curry was playing an incredible game. He had 33 points before the fourth quarter, but that is where he showed his greatness, where he showed his toughness in the most important moments. First, he scored a tough floater that allowed them to get 3 points up. And then he scored the dagger with one of his signature stepbacks to put the difference at 6 points. A dagger that was worth a game and eventually won the championship. Had he not scored it, his legacy could have been completely different. Another of his magnificent clutch performances came in 2019. Minnesota was hosting the Golden State Warriors at Target Center, and Steph was having a spectacular game. However, the best was yet to come. In a completely evenly matched game, both teams had to break the tie in overtime. And things were not going well for Golden State. In fact, with a minute and a half left in the game, Minnesota was up by 9 points. But it was then when Chief Curry showed up.
Okogie out of the corner, and Josh Okogie!
First with a great three-pointer off the dribble from the top of the key, then with an absurd three-pointer in transition in which Steph is dodging all of his opponents like in an obstacle course, only to pull up from long distance. And finally, with the best shot of the whole game, with 4 seconds to play, Steph receives the ball in the corner, creates the minimum space to shoot, and knocks down a three-pointer with an incredible degree of difficulty. The Warriors were down by 9, and Curry had scored the three-pointers that had tied the game. The funny thing is, despite being one of the best clutch performances of his career, Golden State ended up losing the game by 1 point. There's no doubt that was prime Steph, right? But if we are honest, is Steph's prime really over? Because the truth is that at 36 years old, not only is he still one of the best players in the NBA, but he also keeps that clutch gene at that age. That ability to win games in the moments of truth, and these Paris Olympics that have just ended have been the best example. When Team USA gathered the Avengers team led by Steve Kerr, many people thought that they would destroy every team to win the gold. I mean, no wonder. Just by looking at the names that made up the roster, any other national team in the world would get chills. Imagine you are defending LeBron James, and when he finally went to the bench to rest, he is replaced by Kevin Durant.
We're going to double KD. Does 5 players on the team. Simple. KD double. Okay. New plan. So this is what we going to do. This is new plan.
It was just insane. But as star-studded as Kerr's roster was, there was one star who shined in the most important moments, and that was, of course, Steph Curry. It wasn't a bed of roses, and in part, that was also Steph's responsibility because the Warriors guard was not having the best tournament. However, there was a moment when he had to step up. There was a moment when Curry had to put on his chief attire to save Team USA from a catastrophe. In the semifinals against Nikola Jokic's Serbia, Team USA was suffering. And when I say suffering, I mean they were on the verge of elimination. They were down by 17 points. But Steph was unstoppable that night. He scored 36 points, including 9 3-pointers, which is the most by any player in the Olympics this season, and had an incredible clutch performance. With his 9th 3-pointer of the night, Stephen finally gave the lead to the United States. But not only that, with a quick transition layup, Steph put Team USA 5 points up on the scoreboard, and with 2 clutch free throws, he sealed the game for his team. However, the biggest challenge Team USA would have in the Olympics was yet to come. France, Victor Wembanyama's host team, awaited them in the final. The game, however, seemed under control. Team USA was ahead on the scoreboard all the time, surpassing the 10-point difference in some phases of the game. However, France refused to give up. Their players were encouraged by the fans in the crowd, who pressed on every play to cheer for their team, and they almost achieved their goal, because with 2 minutes to go in the deciding gold medal game, France was only 3 points behind.
Have you ever seen anything like it?
But it was then when Chief Steph showed up to cook his opponents in one of the most iconic performances in Olympic history. Curry scored 4 3-pointers in the last 2 minutes. Yes, you heard it right, 4 3-pointers in 2 minutes. 12 points in a game where each point was paid with blood and sweat. But he made it. The most incredible thing is that each one was more surreal than the previous one. And in the last one, Steph scored an incredible high-arching shot over 2 defenders, while Kevin Durant and LeBron James were literally open on the perimeter. Despite all of Steph's incredible performances in the NBA, it is very difficult for any of them to surpass what he did against France. And I'm not the only one who thinks so. Also, some of his professional peers, like Gilbert Arenas. Those were clutch performance shots, and for him to do it on that stage, people are going to remember this moment in Steph's career more than probably any shot he's taken. Gilbert Arenas.
I think it's how Steph got the gold is more important than just the medal itself, right? He showed on the highest level, he's clutch.
In some ways, this performance may have been the most important of his career, because at the end of the day, he wasn't playing for the Warriors, he wasn't even doing it for his teammates, he was doing it for all Americans who have seen how international basketball is growing by leaps and bounds. At 36 years old, Steph doesn't have much of a career left. Even if he can play for a longer period of time, it is to be expected that he will retire while he is still an important player. However, his contribution to the NBA and basketball is already written in the history books. No matter what happens this year with the Warriors, no matter what happens next year, Steph has been an iconic player who has changed the game and the conception of basketball. One of the most influential athletes of all time. And this would not have been so without his unforgettable game-winning performances. Because Curry is, at the end of the day, one of the greatest clutch players of all time. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We're always breaking down the biggest stories and trends in the NBA. You won't want to miss our future videos. And hey, while you're at it, smash that bell icon too. That way you'll be notified as soon as we drop new content. Trust me, with how quickly things change in the NBA, you'll want to stay up to date.